Alrighty, so we're here today with Ravera.
Hi everyone.
Hi.
And as some of you may or may not know, I met her several years ago through our good friend Mike Oberle, who's here today. And Mike does a lot of short sales and rehabs as well, and been in the market a long time. And so Rebecca's main thing is short selling.
Yes, and Mike actually taught me my first short sale, so that's huge.
Yeah,
I would not be where I am without him. Also, Joe, raise your hand. We haven't met yet. Are you Joe?
Hello. Joe.
Oh, he left. You'll have to introduce me to him one day.
Yeah, so, yeah, great point there. You know, we just talk about giving back, right? I mean, it's so important that we give back to each other. But, you know, I met you through a short sale and the short sale process, and we're going to talk about that today. I'd like to talk about what's happening currently, kind of go back a little bit and then go forward a little bit. As I said, always, there's Joe. Joe, there's Rebecca.
Joe, nice to meet you. We email all the time.
So, so if you have a question, my phone number, and you can text it to me, and I'll be happy to ask. We are small enough, you can raise your hand if you don't remember, but it's 410-302-1873. That's 410-302-1873. Feel free to text me. And then Rebecca's going to share her information as well if you guys have any activity in short sale. But really, when I met Rebecca, it's the speed at which she communicates, right? So in our business, speed is so important. And a lot of times if we don't get a return call or whatever, we just all move on. That's just kind of the nature of it. But Rebecca was not like that at all. Instant responses, instantly on top of a situation that was really going to take most likely 3 to 6 months. So it was super powerful, and so my first impression was this girl's got her act together, and that's somebody I want to work with, and so that kind of started our relationship. So if you could just talk about what you do now. Let's talk about short sales and what is a short sale, I think would be good for those of you who don't know.
Yeah, so if we have done a short sale together in any capacity, can you raise your hand? Yeah, so short sales are coming back, guys. A short sale is when the mortgage amount is more than what the property's worth and the homeowner is behind for some reason. So you're going to see a lot of these with forbearances, with the market correcting back to a normal place. You're going to see a lot of people that are having trouble paying their mortgages, that whether it is divorce or loss of a family member or even having a child, that creates a hardship because now you have increased expenses and you may have to get a bigger house. So we are going to be seeing a lot of these soon. Like, how many of you guys have called a homeowner and you're like, oh yeah, I want to buy the house, 50 grand is what I can pay, and they're like, oh well, I owe 100,000. That is a short sale. That is where you would call us, okay? Because instead of throwing that away, now it's a potential deal.
Yeah, so again, the short sale process, and I'm sure many of you guys who have leads, and really for us, when Joe and I were doing so many of these deals and so many opportunities, we all have to monetize our advertising and make sure that we get as much money as we can out of the deals that come across the table. So a lot of times we'd come in and somebody would say exactly that, like we could only pay 50 for it, but they owed 100. So there's a big spread there, and you think to yourself, a lot of people go in, you're like, well, I can't do anything as a wholesaler, or I can't do anything as a rehabber, but that wasn't the case. There's the ability to short sale the property. And so what happens when you first start a short sale? How do you work with us? I know we get you the information, but how does it kind of go from there?
Yeah, so we have a team of about 7 people right now. I think it's 7. My VA keeps hiring more people.
You said 7, right?
Yeah, I think it's 7.
So Rebecca, we'll talk about this a little bit. She started by herself.
It was just me.
Yeah.
I've been in real estate about 13 years. I've been doing short sales about 10 or 11 years now, full time, and that is 99% of my business. Like I'm a licensed real estate agent as well. I will take listing and buyer clients that are friends of mine. But my passion is problem solving. Like I have an investor who was not able to make it today, but he called me and he's like, we got to the closing table and based on the HUD, the seller needs to bring 26 grand to the table. What can you do? Well, there was a very, very large judgment against the seller, which caused that, and we were able to get that reduced within 3 days.
What kind of judgment was it?
So it was like it wasn't a mortgage, it was a personal judgment.
Was it a federal lien or a state lien?
No,
It was more private?
Yeah, but we can do federal and state tax liens. So if you have a property that you come across that may not have a mortgage, or even if it does have a mortgage, we are one of the few people that can handle processing the IRS and
Working with them
state liens.
to try and reduce them or eliminate them.
Both.
Right.
Both. We recently got one of our mortgage companies to pay $100,000 towards the seller's IRS judgment. $100,000.
And how much was the judgment?
Oh, it's 200,000. Yeah, dude's still paying $100,000, but I mean,
Right, it's still a lot.
if you get $100,000 of free money from your mortgage company when you stop paying your mortgage, I mean, who's going to turn that down?
Yeah, that's incredible.
You know,
Yeah.
and he owed over $2 million on that property, and we got it shorted down to $850.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
So I'm sure the investor was pretty excited.
So the way we handle most of our transactions is when you come across these, you bring them to us, right? You already have an agreement with the seller to buy the house. So we work your contract with the mortgage company and so forth. If you bring me a transaction, it goes to you, right? So it doesn't, somebody said to me one time, actually last time I was here, I said, when are you going to bring me your short sales? And he's like, when are you going to give me a deal? You give all your deals to so-and-so. I do not.
Yeah.
Shane will know, Joe will know, you bring me a transaction, that is your transaction. And we will do everything we can to short it for you.
So we said that, you know, Rebecca and I were talking a little bit earlier. Rebecca knows a lot of us in the room, or a lot in the community, because she's kind of like a hub to some degree when you have a short sale. So she gets to meet all of us, and one of the myths we wanted to debunk was, no, she is not siphoning your deal to somebody else. Your deal is your deal, and she works your deal. We've experienced that. It does take a little time and a little patience.
And I have to say, not every transaction is going to go through. Poor Shane, we cannot, for some reason, the last 3 deals Shane has sent us, we just cannot get them done for him.
Yeah.
We were able to get them done for the seller, you know, and you know, get a new buyer, but the numbers just didn't work for Shane. Now, with that being said, I don't know if you were here at the last meetup with Travis Lockman. He has a house literally 3 doors down from Cliff Edge, and we got it done for $120,000 in better condition. So, like, that's the thing.
Yeah,
So,
every situation.
every situation's different. Every mortgage company's different, and I think what sets us aside is the minute you bring the transaction, we do a title search. I personally do a full title search on the property. We gather any liens or judgments, because if somebody stops paying their credit card company could put a judgment against the seller, which then attaches to the property, right?
Yeah.
So we handle all of that so that when the short sale is approved, we hand it to whatever title company you want, basically in a perfect package. Everything's done.
So everything's done for the title company.
Everything's done for the title. I mean, they're going to have to pull their own title work for their own stuff, but Brett Devich over there owns Definitive Title, and you know, he can attest to, like, I will give you everything, and he's like, fantastic, done, great.
I can tell you that does not happen. So normally what happens is that in any situation, the preliminary comes to the title company first. Usually the short sale negotiating company is deficient. When I say deficient, they'll start processing the short sale without doing any back work on what's actually sitting behind the scenes. And they'll be like, oh, well, we'll just start negotiating off the purchase price minus costs, and we're just going to figure out as it goes.
Right.
Well, most of the time, if you don't do preliminary work to back up, everybody's completely wasted their time. You're 90 days into negotiation before you realize that there's unnegotiable items behind the scenes, or you know, there's things attached to that property that are not even going to allow it to go. If you're in Baltimore City and you don't pull a lien certificate before you process your short sale,
Good luck.
you've already lost.
Right.
You know what I mean? So if Jackie and her company are already doing all of the prelim work before it gets that, most of the time what the title companies would do is we would get those in advance. But the problem is if your win ratio, most of the time it's not great because the people who are negotiating aren't great. So the title companies are now working for free. Pulling title work,
If it doesn't go through, too,
correct.
you're never going to
We don't
refund
get
that.
paid. Most title companies don't decide we're going to be like, hey, we're going to work on retainer services. I'm going to need you to give me an upfront deposit of $500 so I can pre-work the title work. If you had to do that for every single one of your leads, well, now you're creating a new expense that's going to cost you a lot more money for you to pre-qualify your properties. But to springboard off what Rebecca's saying, completely the most valuable thing you could possibly. Anytime that I get a short sale, I don't care who it is. She's my first call. And even though other title companies refer a business to her, anything that I've ever referred to her, I immediately, it's however it goes, no matter where it ends up, it's my duty. It doesn't go to any other, anybody else.
So again, just highlighting that, so pulling that lien sheet, which is something
huge. We always do.
Right.
We pull a full lien sheet multiple times throughout the process, because if anybody has bought Baltimore City houses, you know that there may be a random $1,600 high grass and weed judgment from somewhere.
Yeah, water bill, whatever, right? So that that's key to getting that started. So for him, once the ball gets to the title company, they have an updated lien sheet. They're good.
So they'll still have to, for their own purposes, pull a lien sheet. But we just had a transaction the other day where the title company was like, we can't close, we haven't gotten the lien sheet. And we were like, oh, well, ours came in yesterday. Here you go.
Right.
And
so
they were able to close with that. But, we were missing so many things by not doing title searches, just like Brett said. And, every day we are constantly improving everything. Like anytime we hear a complaint, I immediately call my team and I'm like, all right, we're never doing this again.
Right. Fix that.
That's not liked.
Yeah. No, that's good. That's great. Cool. And I would say that again, you probably, just like investors, most of the title companies as well.
Yeah.
A lot of the title companies in the area, so you can kind of say, look, this is probably the better one to go to.
Title companies can make or break a transaction.
Yeah, especially a short sale.
Of course.
Because it could be.
Well, they need to be familiar, because short sales there's no black and white. It's a gray line, and you have to be creative, right? Yeah. Legally creative, but you have to be creative.
Right.
And if you have a title company that is they're not going to be able to deter. Right. And so definitive title is amazing. Terrain title, Delaney title, those are all very investor-friendly companies. There are more, but definitive is great. Please use them. They're wonderful.
Cool, thank you. So someone's asking, can an investor, I know the answer to this, but we'll just ask it, an investor wholesale a short sale, and how's that done? How's that process work?
Right. So a lot of short sales do have resale restrictions where you can't sell it at all for 30 days, and then until 90 days, you can't sell it for more than 120% of the sales price. Well, anybody who's done a deal with me who has gotten one of those really good home run deals, you don't want to lose whatever potential wholesale fee you can do. And that is where you see the investors that are actually selling the LLCs. So that is where that comes in play with.
Right.
So when an investor brings me a deal, I never know what their intention is. I don't care what their intention is, right? My intention is to save the seller from foreclosure.
Right.
So you bring me a transaction, it's in your LLC name. When we get to a certain point, I'm going to call you and I'm going to say, okay, this is the number. Are we going to proceed with this company? Do you want to change company? Like, what do you want to do so that we can proceed, and get that approval letter and get to closing? And that's where you would then make that decision, whatever you're going to do. And we can then advise whether you should do a new LLC or this or that. Most of my investors, whether they wholesale or not, just safety-wise, they're putting properties in their own LLCs. It's
in their own, or then do they create a separate LLC for that?
They create a separate LLC
for that.
Yeah, so like Mike Soper, he has 5 LLCs on standby at all time, because I'll randomly call him and I'll have a ton of transactions, and he's like, all right, use this, and that one, because we all know SSTAT takes forever, right? And any delays from anything is going to screw up the short sale. We just did a short sale with Jed Chessier, who's here, and we got his short sale done in 5 days. Hey Jed, 5 days from short sale package to short sale approval.
5 days?
5 days. God, don't hate me. Don't hate me. Oh.
That's awesome.
I know, it was amazing. We got it, we were like, we think this is a mistake. I called the mortgage company, I said, you screwed up. You gave me the approval letter. They're like, no, it's real. And I said, all right, thanks, bye.
Yeah. So Mike's here, Mike Soto from
Cambridge.
Victor Bravo. Maybe you guys do know him. Their organization is a pretty good sized company, and they do a lot of rehabbing as well, and apparently a lot of short sales, so that's awesome.
I think I have 20 short sales I'm working on with Victor Bravo right now.
Wow.
20.
That's a good bit. So how, with 20, I mean, Mike, maybe you talk to this, how are you processing them? Are they just dropping one at a time, or?
Yeah, so they typically do an intro email introducing me and the seller.
Right.
I immediately have a conversation with them, and we find out the mortgage company, we get them the documents, we mail it, we email it. Basically, your client or the seller is going to have the package within 24 hours maximum.
Right. So Mike, are you signing a contract with them first?
Yeah, so if they're local, we'll go directly to them. If they say yes, like, you know, it's all bullshit until it's signed. So we go right to them right away. If they're out of state, Becca has prepaid envelopes. They get sent out same day that I send that email, very, very quickly.
So is Victor Bravo signing a contract with them and then setting up Rebecca, or?
So we also do kind of what Becca does. So we actually pull soft abstract on it as well, or soft title. So we have some PAs that we've trained on, you know, going through land records, going through and checking. So we have a pretty good idea as to what's over on the property too. So if it's a deal that it's borderline to where it might be a short sale, it might not, I'll do both. Yeah, I'll do a regular PSA and I'll do
either way, you're getting their signature on something,
right.
so you can move forward.
If you can sell it, you know, without doing a short sale, like Mike said, he'll do both. Fantastic. That's what we want. We want the seller to avoid foreclosure at all costs, whether it's you guys getting the property or somebody else or being wholesaled. It doesn't matter, because if it goes to foreclosure, it doesn't help anybody, right? The investor doesn't get the property. The seller now has foreclosure on their record, and foreclosure is very expensive for these mortgage companies. Not to mention, after they foreclose, they typically hold it forever, because how many REOs have you guys tried to buy, right? And then they have to pay commissions, and a lot of times they'll clean out the house. I mean, the banks want to do short sales.
They want to move them.
They want to, they want to recap their money.
Right.
Recoup their money.
How many banks do you think you deal with? Do you deal with all the local branches as well, or?
Yeah, I mean, there are small community banks that actually refer short sales to us as well, sellers, because they know that we're able to get things done so quickly and we're able to communicate. So we do credit unions, we do regular mortgage companies, Wells Fargo and Andrews Federal Credit Union, you know.
That's crazy. Is there any particular ones that, you know, we always ask this, like, who's some of the easier ones to deal with, and who's some of the people that don't even go down this road, it'll be nasty?
So recently Wells Fargo has gotten really, really tough.
What's different about them now?
So I think that they've had a lot of fraud.
Oh yeah.
So we recently had a transaction with Mike where we had to have the homeowners re-sign the real estate contract and have it notarized because the bank, you know, wanted to make sure everything was going through. Jed's property was PHH mortgage, which, you know, got it done in 5 days. That doesn't always happen.
Yeah.
So we're
Just
really not
depends.
afraid of anything.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's probably just like anything. It's individuals that you're dealing with within the organization.
Yeah. And there was a time that I never did a Wells Fargo short sale before, and we figured it out. You know, so.
Yeah. Usually they figure out that you know more than they know.
Oh my gosh. I just recently disputed a value, right? I just disputed an appraisal. 36 pages.
Oh my gosh.
They comped a Baltimore City property in county comps, right? So it was located in Dundalk, the city part of Dundalk, and they used all county comps, right?
I bet you it was a really good
An
property.
appraisal from the mortgage company. So this mortgage company now thinks that they have this fantastic county property, and what they don't realize is that it's a different municipality and a different property tax rate and everything. And so we are constantly disputing these, and it takes forever, but like, it just...
So someone's asking, how does the wholesaler get paid? So let's say we bring a property to you, and then once you've negotiated a good number for us.
We process. Real estate agents are not allowed to negotiate short sales.
Right.
So we process short sales.
You process the short sale. Not negotiate, process the short sale. And then once that's processed, and let's say again, that we'll use that 100 and that 50. We can't pay them closer to 50, but let's say it gets processed and it's 60.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, okay, I like that deal, and I think I can find a buyer for that deal at 70. I'm going to put that in you're going to tell me, yep, we got to process the 60. I'm going to put that in, it's signed up under my LLC. Now I have the rights to either sell the LLC or sell my rights to the agreement.
So you can't really sell the rights to your agreement. Whoever signs the contract needs to sign the closing documents. So keep that in mind. They do verify signatures and match signatures. So I wouldn't necessarily be involved because I don't know what you're doing with the property. Of course I have an idea, but I can't really get involved in that part. But After closing, like you're gonna sit with your title company, you're gonna sign closing documents, and then if you just wanna turn to your right and sell the LLC to
Whoever.
that's how you would do it. So the wholesaler who signed the contract needs to close on the house, whether if
One
they
way or the
own
other.
it for 30 seconds or if they own it for 30 years.
Gotcha. Cool, that's cool. Somebody got a question back there?
Just a real quick follow on that topic. So instead of selling the contract, you're selling the whole LLC.
Correct. Yeah, and the title companies will handle all of that.
Sometimes it's not that easy to do.
Yes,
Right.
it's not always that easy to do,
So
but that is how you wholesale a short
The
sale.
short sale stuff, you're gonna get caught under some of the clauses because if you try to do a split sell and resell, a lot of the times what you're gonna end up doing, and the only way to keep it legal, and that a title company's gonna insure it because the wholesaler is not gonna be able to get 1099. The title company's biggest problem and our hurdle is being able to make sure that the third party, the person in the middle, who's taking the $10,000 check of your spread that you're talking about, we can't 1099 that person. We can fiscally, we can do it, you know, we can show the buyer paid, or we can pay the seller paid. Most of the time what ends up happening is that you're going to end up, the buyer of the property is going to end up almost putting a bird dogging fee or, you know, a fee on the buyer's side. That's nothing to represent the seller at all. The short sale itself will remain perfect, just like it was negotiated. The bank doesn't want to see any different, like they don't want to see anything change from the breakdown of what their cost sheet is compared to, you know, down to sometimes even the water proration. So the buyer who's coming in is going to pay on their side of the transaction, you know, hey, you know, this is, you know, I don't know how you guys want to call it these days, but
Fee.
sure. You know, it'll be on the buyer's side and you'll pay it as part of your financing. If you've got hard money lenders, most hard money lenders are going to be, they're not going to care that you put another $10,000 into, you know, into your cost, you know, basis sheet. But it's going to be in miscellaneous or on page 2 of the HUD. That's going to say, it'll be your assignment fee. But it'll be the buyer, you know, with that assignment fee to whoever that end user or wholesaler is.
Yeah.
And that's if you don't start your new, that's if you don't sell the LLC too. Like you can do a totally different transaction outside of the closing, right? And
Yes.
sell the LLC. And then that takes the liability off of the title company as well.
Selling the LLC is just a bill of sale.
Yeah.
It's basically, it looks like a HUD one, but it's a bill of sale. Not a lot of title companies like to do it, guys, just so you know. Good. There's no money in that transaction for us, and it's all liabilities. Go ahead.
Yeah.
You're go.
If you're using it now, the buyer is taking all the seller's liabilities. So the seller's got some housing code violation 4 years ago, and the city of Baltimore sees, oh, we got a membership fee sale, we got a property sale, we go right out to the buyer. In the second place, if that's not bad enough, section 48607B of the Maryland LLC Act, any general creditor at any time, the right to foreclose on your membership units if you're not going to get paid. If you're not going to get paid. The reality is, Amex, Visa, MasterCard, and mortgage company are really owners of this LLCs.
Well, I would say, and just in terms of that, so in our experience, you know, we've settled the deals ourselves many times, and just kind of, and we basically go by each situation and how that works best. These are all options that people
Every
use.
situation is 100% different,
Yep.
right?
Yeah, and you kind of be guided by the people, your professionals, like
Right.
yourself, your title company, who you're working with as the best way to go in terms of settling those. We are wholesalers. We've been wholesalers for 20 years. We've wholesaled our short sales. It's what we do because we learned all the ins and outs and the right way to do things legally, which again, it can be sensitive, especially in short sales. Obviously, the sellers aren't allowed to make any money. That's important. All those kind of pieces, they have to be done right. But they can be. That's the important thing. The important thing to investors is that when you get short sale properties and you find short sale properties, they can be purchased and you can make money off of them. I mean,
And you can help the homeowner avoid foreclosure.
Yep.
You're literally changing somebody's life
Yeah,
by
very-
helping them avoid foreclosure.
yeah, it can be very lucrative, and also at the same time, and many times, many investors like ourselves have seen this where a deal, which we talked about before, where sometimes you're not making anything, but other times there's a huge spread and the upside is huge for both parties.
Yeah, sometimes there's home runs, sometimes there's not.
Yep.
You know, it's like any other investment. that you guys have done before.
But a huge win in the whole thing, as Rebecca said several times now, is that that seller doesn't have to go into foreclosure. It doesn't affect their credit. It doesn't affect their ability to buy again. You know, I mean, I think all of us have at least experienced talking to folks like that. And when they're like that, they are desperate. They're depressed. There's a lot of negative things that are happening around that, and you can help solve that. As Rebecca said, you could be a problem solver.
Right, and why wouldn't you want to bring it to us? Like if you have a homeowner that's in a situation where they're obviously underwater, it's a dead transaction. You can't do anything with it, right? So why wouldn't you bring it to us? So at the very least, the best case scenario, you get the transaction, fantastic. Worst case or very least case, best case scenario is the homeowner doesn't have foreclosure on their record. Like, why wouldn't you want to just do that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Connect them with somebody that can actually help them. I mean, the people that are most successful in this business, they're not just doing it for the money. They're also doing it for other reasons and to help people and so forth. My parents died when I was a kid. I was homeless. My parents' house, we lost it to foreclosure. It was
Did you grow
tough.
up in Baltimore?
Yeah. When my parents died, I moved in with my grandmother. She passed away when I was 17, and I was on my own. So I really had no choice but to survive.
Yeah.
And I somehow fell into real estate. It wasn't really what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a chef or a lawyer. I cannot cook at all, by the way.
Neither can Mimo,
Yeah.
but he does like to eat.
Yeah, I mean, I'll cook. It just might not be safe, right? And then we met through a mutual friend, and he was like, let me show you how to do a short sale. And I was like, all right, cool, whatever, thinking it's not going to go anywhere. And I just took to it. Yeah, I'm a problem solver. Like, Mike sent me a deal yesterday and was like, the title company said there's 4 open DOTs. And I was like, all right, well, let me do it.
Yeah.
Let me play with it. Let me see what happens. Like, he wasn't even asking me to process the short sale. He just had a question about a property, and I want to help with those. Like, anything that you need, I'm happy to help.
So I'm a little more interested, if it's okay to talk about.
This gentleman had a question.
What's DOT?
I'm sorry, deed of trust, a mortgage. Yeah. He has a property with 4 open old mortgages, and I'm trying to figure out who screwed up and where the releases are.
It's a lot of acronyms in your business.
Yeah,
So again, from your past there, obviously very, very difficult. I don't think I even knew that, Rebecca. And then how you overcame those things, I guess internally, right? You're like, I gotta survive, I gotta make it, or that's it, right? I mean, how did you avoid some of the pitfalls that young people avoid? Whether it was drugs or alcohol or other things like that.
I did my fair share of drugs. Don't worry, I smoked a lot of pot in high school, right?
How'd you navigate through that? You know, were
Very
you
cloudy,
always
very cloudy.
I grew up in Dundalk, so I know a little bit.
No, I had my adversities, I had my issues, I had my struggles. I still do. I'm human, right? When I get home, I just want to put on sweatpants and watch Netflix and like not talk to anybody. People will tell you that sometimes it's very difficult to get a hold of. Like 25 people in the world have my personal cell phone number because
you had to small your world.
I had to small my world, or I would get burnt out because every single day I'm fixing other people's problems, right? Like it's not, and people like, as grateful as they are to not have a foreclosure on their credit, they're also not going to shout to the world like, Becca saved me from foreclosure, right? So it's a very thankless position, but the fact that I can save other people from going through the foreclosure that I went through or the situations that I went through, like that's really what drives me, right? And I'm a super positive person. Glass is always half full, so I just know that if something doesn't work right now, the next one will, right? Just like any deal or situation you guys come across.
So you were on your own at 17?
Yep, on my own.
You had to make it.
Had to make it.
Good. So positivity, drive, goals. You knew what you kind of knew.
I was homeless. I went to school also at the same time, and
Right.
then I worked at a tax and foreclosure law firm after school. And I made enough money to feed myself, and
Good.
you know.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's a good story. Alrighty, well, guys, Rebecca is here, so I'm sure she has plenty of information in terms of how to reach her. Again, she's built a really cool team. We're just scratching the surface of really what she's done in a short amount of time. I hope that from all the stories that we are able to tell, that you see inside of them something inside of you. What you can do to become bigger, better, faster, stronger, more prosperous, really financially free. Financial freedom, I know you guys know this a lot, doesn't mean that you don't work anymore, right? We love work. I mean, that's what we do. That's what gives us a lot of satisfaction. It means the ability not to have to. When you're in a position where you don't have to work, when you go to work, it's so much different. The freedom of that is incredible. And that is all possible. Like, I'm sure Rebecca would say the same. If she can do it, or if I can do it, or Mike can do it, or whoever in here can do it, you can do it too.
Yeah, and it's tough. I work all the time. Like, I was up at 3 a.m. this morning responding to emails.
Yeah.
But so is my team, right? Like, they are so dedicated.
Hyper-focused, yeah.
So hyper-focused. They don't stop. And we're real people. You know, you're never going to talk to us and it's going to feel like we're some stuffy company. Like, we're real people. We get things done.
Are you working in an office now? And is your team in an office, or how do you guys?
I work from my home now. Yeah. I have a dog with cancer, so it's easier for me to be at home and work. Yeah.
Is everybody in your team at home? Is everybody kind of telecommunicating?
So actually, I only have one local employee. So I have Alicia, who is she is my ex-husband's brother's ex-wife. So we really like to keep it in the family around here.
How's she related to you,
yeah.
Mike?
Well, actually, her daughter and Mike's daughter were best friends as well. So very, very small world around here. But she lives in Joppatown, and she will come to my house. I gave her her own bedroom with an office, set it up, so she has that.
Right.
We have Kelly, who works in North Carolina, and her job, she calls every mortgage company over and over again, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. So as soon as she's finished calling on all the transactions, she starts again at the top. And that's really what sets us apart, because a lot of people don't have somebody that just nails out these mortgage companies. Yeah.
Tenacity.
Yeah, and then we have a whole crew of people in the Philippines. Mikey is our unicorn. She's amazing. And I'm just like, here, hire everybody you need. Make it happen.
So just real briefly, we talked about this. She's trained her virtual assistant so well that virtual is actually doing the hiring for her now.
Oh my gosh, she started on an ISA company within my company to call other homeowners so that we can give you guys more deals as well. You know?
How long did it take to find Mikey?
Oh, we lucked out. She was our first one. We have fired so many VAs to the point where, like, we're not even emotionally connected to them anymore. Like, we're like, oh, I don't even want to know this person's name. Just make sure they answer the phones.
Yeah, I would say that to anybody who's either considering VAs or has them. We have a few. We're not always real happy with them, and we probably stick with them too long. You know, just move on, find them people that, you know.
Oh, Mikey's great. She's ruthless. She will just fire people. She is fantastic.
So you don't have
and she is $1,000 a month full time. So if you do not think that you can afford an admin, I can tell you that she does so well that she pays for herself. She does all of my background stuff, my websites, my lead generation. If you've gotten a Facebook message from me asking why we haven't gotten a short sale yet, it is from her, right? And it's $1,000 a month. Why wouldn't you get a VA for yourself?
Yeah.
Like, it's amazing.
Yeah, and that's one of the first things they tell you in the investment community is get a VA. That's like one of the first hires is a VA, not just because they're inexpensive, they can take a lot of weight off of you. Yeah.
It was just me. I never stopped working. I was burnt out and I hate what I did.
Right.
And now I think I have 7 of us and I still don't ever take time off, but like I can be here and not anxious that things are falling through.
Yeah.
Like I know that everybody's deal is being worked on right now, even though I'm here.
Yeah, that's the freedom that we talk about. That's the freedom of freedom.
Thank you.